The wedding album lies open on Aunt Maxine's coffee table. It's a glossy monument to betrayal. I stand frozen, my fingers tingling with numbness. I'm staring at my brother Nolan beaming beside his new wife. The same brother whose wedding I'm supposed to attend tomorrow. Elise, honey, I thought you knew. Aunt Maxine's voice wavers behind me. It's thick with something worse than pity. Guilt. The carefully wrapped crystal frame slips from my hands. The shattering glass echoes through the living room. It sounds like a physical manifestation of what's happening inside me. Shards scatter across the hardwood floor. They catch light from the afternoon sun streaming through the bay windows. That's not possible. My voice sounds strange, distant. I fumble with my purse, extracting the thick cream envelope. My name is written in elegant calligraphy. Look, June 15th. Tomorrow. Aunt Maxine takes the invitation with trembling hands. Her reading glasses are perched on the end of her nose. Oh, Elise. Her voice breaks. The wedding was last weekend. They sent you the wrong date. On purpose. What happens next will shock you beyond belief. If you were in Elise's position, what would you do? Watch until the end and let me know your thoughts in the comments. The room tilts slightly. I'd taken a day off from my executive marketing position to prepare. I'd spent weeks searching for the perfect gift. I'd found the right dress. I'd practiced what I'd say to family members who barely acknowledge my existence. How can they be so cruel? Your mother, Aunt Maxine hesitates, then squares her shoulders. They decided it would be easier if you weren't there. Actually, I'd been quietly organizing important documents recently. 8 years' worth of records. Aunt Maxine's eyes widen in surprise. I fought with your mother about this, Aunt Maxine says, wringing her hands. I told her it was wrong, cruel even. But she overruled me. She said you just bring up uncomfortable topics. Ask embarrassing questions. I almost laugh. Uncomfortable topics, like the thousands of dollars I've quietly funneled through my holding company. All to keep the family lake cottage from foreclosure. Embarrassing questions like why my brother's business failures are always forgiven, while my successes are dismissed. I've spent years trying to earn my place in this family. I wrapped the broken pieces in the gift paper. The festive pattern now seems like another mockery. I thought if I achieved enough, helped enough, they'd finally see me. Aunt Maxine reaches for my hand. Her papery skin is cool against mine. Some people can't see what's right in front of them, Elise. Not won't. Can't. The quiet realization settles over me. No achievement would ever be enough. No sacrifice would make them truly see me. I've been trying to earn what should have been freely given. In doing so, I've allowed them to determine my worth. I look at the album again. All those smiling faces celebrating without me. My absence was so complete they didn't even need to edit me out. They'd made their choice long before this wedding. Perhaps it was time I made mine. And I will. I will show my family who I am. I will not be invisible anymore. The next day, the steering wheel feels slick under my palms. I pull into my parents' circular driveway. Their Tudor-style home stands proud against the afternoon sky. Its manicured hedges and gleaming windows betray nothing of the betrayal within. I kill the engine but remain seated. Through the bay window, I watch them lounging in the living room. They're surrounded by wedding photos. My mother's laugh floats through the partially open window. It's the same delicate, tinkling sound I'd spent decades trying to earn. My father leans back in his leather recliner. He looks more relaxed than I've seen him in years. And Nolan, my golden child brother, stands by the mantel. He's holding up a large wedding portrait. His voice carries clearly across the lawn. Best decision we made was making sure she wasn't there to ruin everything like always. A wave of nausea rises as I grip the doorframe. My knuckles turn white against the polished wood. They continue laughing, flipping through album pages. They're completely oblivious to my presence. 3 minutes pass before my mother finally notices me standing in the entryway. Her champagne glass disappears behind a silver-framed photo with practiced subtlety. Elise. Not a question, not a greeting. Just acknowledgement of an unexpected intrusion. The wedding was last weekend. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. You sent me the wrong date. On purpose. Nolan doesn't even look up from the album. I needed one perfect day without you. The simplicity of his statement hits harder than any angry defense could have. No denial, no pretense. You've always disrupted our peace, Elise. Mother adjusts her pearl necklace. It's a nervous habit from childhood. Can't you understand we needed one special occasion without your intensity? Father remains silent in his recliner. His eyes are downcast, studying his hands as if they hold secrets only he can decipher. His silence speaks volumes. It's tacit approval wrapped in cowardice. I step further into the room. I notice how they occupy the comfortable seating while I stand. The physical representation of our family dynamic couldn't be clearer if it had been staged by a theatrical director. I've put thousands of dollars into the Lake Cottage repairs through my holding company. The statement hangs in the air between us. Did you think I wouldn't find out you've been telling everyone it's still completely yours? Mother waves her hand dismissively. That's what successful children do. They help their parents. It's your obligation. She picks up my framed marketing award from the wall carelessly. She handles it as if she's dusting it off. Playing with your little marketing spreadsheets while the rest of us have real careers. Nolan smirks. He tosses the album onto the coffee table with careless entitlement. Dad built something tangible. I create architectural visions. You haven't built anything besides money. I smile quietly. Architectural visions? Are you talking about how you've destroyed 3 restaurants in the past 5 years? The last one gave 12 people food poisoning. They had to be hospitalized. That vision cost us $500,000 in lawsuit settlements. Nolan's face turns pale. That was an accident. All 3 times were accidents. But every time, you withdrew funds from my accounts saying, this time will be different. Do you know how much that totaled? At that moment, I become completely calm. Their words and actions crystallize a truth I've spent years avoiding. To them, I am not a daughter or sister. I'm a resource. An ATM with inconvenient emotions they'd rather not acknowledge. I catch my reflection in the ornate mirror above the fireplace. The woman staring back seems diminished somehow. Her shoulders are slightly curved inward. Her head is tilted in a perpetual posture of apology. How long has this stranger been living in my skin? This woman trained to make herself smaller at every family gathering, to speak softer at every holiday dinner. Let me explain something you seem to have forgotten. The moment Nolan says, you haven't built anything, I quietly open my handbag. I retrieve the slim folder I grabbed from my home office on the drive over. I place it on the desk. Father looks at me carefully for the first time. I have documentation of every dollar spent on that cottage, every repair made, every tax bill paid. My voice is as cold as ice. Mother's eyes narrow. It's the first flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. Her hands unconsciously grip my award. And most importantly, I carefully place the thickest document in the center of the coffee table. I have my name on the deed, not as co-owner, as sole owner. Complete silence falls over the room. You signed over your half to my company 3 years ago. That's when Nolan needed capital for his failing restaurant venture. Father finally looks up. Confusion battles with dawning comprehension. You're welcome to contest it, I continue. My voice gains strength with each word. But the paperwork is quite thorough. Jenna made sure of that. Jenna? My Jenna Morales? Mother's voice rises an octave. Our family attorney? My attorney now, I correct her. For the past 5 years. 15 minutes later, I'm walking back to my car. My hands are trembling, but my steps are steady. I wonder if I should immediately cut all financial ties or gradually withdraw support to give them time to adjust. The swift justice of immediate action tempts me. But would that make me as callous as they had been? What would you do when you discover the people who should love you have only been using you all along? I start the engine. The quiet purr somehow steadies my racing heart. For the first time since receiving that beautiful lying invitation, I feel something close to peace. Perhaps the most important wedding wasn't Nolan's after all. It was my own. Marrying the woman I am to the woman I've always been capable of becoming. That same day, my phone buzzes for the 5th time in an hour. It's another cousin I haven't spoken to since last Thanksgiving. Suddenly concerned about my mental health. Mother's been busy. Elise, honey, we're worried about you. Uncle Robert's voice crackles through the speaker. Your mother says you've been making some wild accusations. I press my fingertips against my temple. Did she mention that they sent me a fake wedding invitation with the wrong date? The pause tells me everything. Well, there must be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Uncle Robert. They didn't want me there, so they made sure I wouldn't be. After hanging up, I open my laptop. I find Nolan has posted wedding photos online. Surrounded by everyone who matters. Reads the caption beneath an image of our beaming parents flanking the happy couple. The absence I'd never noticed in family photos before now screams at me. The next day, there's a knock on my office door. It breaks my concentration. Aunt Maxine stands there holding 2 paper bags from my favorite deli. Thought you might be skipping lunch, she says, placing a sandwich on my desk. She rests her hand on my shoulder. Her turquoise rings catch the light. I'm proud of you for standing up. It was about time someone in this family had courage. The simple touch nearly undoes me. My assistant's voice comes through the intercom. Miss Hartman, your parents are in the lobby. They don't have an appointment. Aunt Maxine squeezes my shoulder. Would you like me to stay? I straighten my spine. No, I need to handle this myself. When they enter, Mother immediately produces tears. Her mascara is perfectly intact despite them. How could you abandon your family? We've always been there for you. Father stands rigid beside her. The cottage has been in our family for generations. You have no right. They remain standing while I stay seated behind my desk. I'm no longer jumping to attention when they enter a room. That cottage hasn't been in our family for years, I say. My voice is steadier than I expected. You sold your half to my company when you needed money for Nolan's failed business venture. Mother's tears evaporate. We did no such thing. I remove a document from my desk drawer. Your signature is right here, Mother. 3 years ago, when Nolan's restaurant went under, Father steps forward. We assumed once things turned around. You assumed I would give it back without mentioning the legal transfer? Or you assumed I would continue bankrolling the family while being excluded from it? The words flow easier now. I'm not your bank. I'm not your family's safety net. I'm done. For the first time in my life, my mother looks at me with something other than disappointment. Fear. I made myself clear. The intercom buzzes. Miss Hartman, Jenna Morales is here for your 2 o'clock. Perfect timing. Jenna strides in, briefcase in hand. Her authoritative presence fills the room. Mr. and Mrs. Hartman, I believe our meeting was concluded. She gestures toward the door with practiced professionalism. This is family business, Mother hisses. Which is why Miss Morales, my attorney, is handling it, I reply. All further communication will go through her office. The contrast is striking. Jenna's respectful, Miss Hartman, against my mother's dismissive glare. 1 week later, the documents are spread across Thomas Bedford's polished mahogany desk. They look like battle plans. I sign each one with deliberate strokes. My signature grows more confident with each page. Joint accounts closed. Co-signed loans transferred. Investment portfolio separated. Thomas checks items off his list. His voice carries the measured cadence of a man who's witnessed family fortunes crumble before. Perfect timing, too. According to their schedule, your parents should be halfway through their country club luncheon right about now. I glance at my watch. 12:37 p.m. Mother will be ordering her second gin and tonic. Father will be nodding politely at whatever retired executive has cornered him. The predictability of their routine has become my strategic advantage. What about the restraining order? I ask, sliding the last form across the desk. Thomas adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses. Judge Harriman will review it this afternoon. The documentation is thorough. Workplace harassment has clear precedent. I think of my parents' unannounced visits, the scenes in the lobby, the whispers among colleagues. My fingers curl into a fist beneath the desk. I've seen families destroy people. Elise. Thomas closes his leather portfolio with a decisive snap. You're making the right choice. The certainty in his voice steadies something inside me that's been trembling for days. When my phone vibrates, I expect Aunt Maxine's name. Instead, the building security number flashes on the screen. Miss Hartman? There's a situation in the lobby. Your brother is demanding to see you. Thomas notices my expression and points to the speakerphone button. I press it. Is he creating a disturbance? I ask. My voice is surprisingly calm. Yes, ma'am. Security protocol requires documentation of the incident. He's quite insistent about financial matters. Thomas scribbles a note and slides it toward me. This strengthens the restraining order case. I'm not coming down, I tell the security officer. Please follow standard protocols for unauthorized visitors. 15 minutes later, my phone rings again. An unfamiliar number. Elise? It's Kendra, Nolan's wife. Her voice wavers. I'm outside your building. I saw everything. The way he acted in your lobby. I had no idea he could be like that. Through the window, I spot her standing near the fountain. Her phone is pressed to her ear. Her shoulders are hunched against the spring breeze. He told me you refused to help with the wedding, that you were jealous of our happiness. Her voice cracks. But that wasn't true, was it? You never even knew when it was happening. The admission hangs between us. I'm sorry, she whispers. I should have questioned why you weren't there. I watch her brush hair from her face. The diamond on her ring finger catches sunlight. 2 weeks married and already discovering the person behind the performance. Why are you telling me this? Because I recognize the look on his face today. It's the same one my father had when he threatened my mother. I'm not waiting 30 years to admit what I'm seeing. 1 week later, that afternoon, Aunt Maxine arrives at my office. She's carrying a worn leather briefcase I've never seen before. I've been keeping these for years, she says. She lays out folders containing printouts of emails, text messages, and financial records dating back a decade. Your mother never believed in deleting anything. She thought she might need leverage someday. I flip through pages of correspondence. They reveal a systematic pattern of emotional and financial exploitation. Need money for Nolan's business venture. Elise won't mind co-signing. Tell Elise the cottage repairs are minimal. No need to mention the foundation issues. She's coming for Thanksgiving. Hide the new boat until after she leaves. Each message lands like a physical blow. Jenna, my lawyer, arrives as I'm midway through the second folder. She scans several key documents. Her expression hardens. This strengthens our position on the cottage ownership considerably, she says. She selects specific emails for her files. The judge will see a clear pattern here. The next morning, Jenna calls with news. It makes me sit down abruptly in my kitchen. Judge granted the restraining order. His exact words were clear pattern of emotional and financial harassment. They can't come within 500 feet of your workplace or residence. That afternoon, Aunt Maxine calls. Your cousin Rebecca canceled her bridge game with your mother. She said she couldn't look her in the eye after what she did to you. One by one, the dominoes begin to fall. Uncle Stephen removes them from the holiday rotation. Grandmother's oldest friend refuses their dinner invitation. As rumors circulate about Kendra moving back to her parents' house, Nolan's drinking increases. His financial stability leaves with her. When the formal eviction notice for the cottage arrives at my parents' house, reality finally sinks in. The consequences they never imagined possible have come due. 2 weeks later, however, that wasn't all. The next day, I get an urgent call from my boss. "Elise, we received an accusation from your family. They claim you've been embezzling company funds for personal use." I take a deep breath. "You're welcome to investigate. All my holding company records are completely legal. They have my accountant's approval." Of course I believe that. But we still need to investigate. After hanging up, I contact Jenna. "I expected this." Jenna's voice is calm. "It's typical behavior for cornered people. Fortunately, your records are perfect. We can consider further legal action for harassment through false accusations." I run my finger over the embossed letterhead of my holding company. The same company that began economic support 8 years ago and formally acquired ownership 3 years ago. The cottage they still believe is theirs. Truth has a way of revealing itself, one document at a time. 1 week later, on Wednesday, the familiar gleam of morning sunlight across the polished granite lobby feels different today. I've walked through these doors hundreds of times, but never quite like this. Security guards Stan and Miguel exchange knowing glances as my parents enter behind Pastor Williams. Their expressions are a careful study in contrition. Mother's camel hair coat hangs slightly askew on her shoulders. Her normally perfect hair shows telltale strands out of place. Father stands with unusual deference. His shoulders are hunched forward in a posture I've never witnessed before. The family pastor walks between them. He clutches his Bible to his chest like a shield. "Elise," Pastor Williams extends his hand. His voice carries that practiced tone of gentle authority he uses for hospital visits and funeral services. "Your parents thought it might help to have someone neutral present for this conversation." I don't take his hand. "There's nothing neutral about someone who's been at our Christmas dinner table for 20 years, Pastor." Mother steps forward. Her voice wavers. "We've been praying about this situation, Elise. About your behavior lately." "My behavior?" The words escape as a quiet laugh that surprises even me. "The cottage has been in our family for generations." Father finally speaks. His usual commanding tone is replaced with something resembling humility. "Your grandfather built it with his own hands." Pastor Williams places a gentle hand on my arm. "Forgiveness is divine, Elise. They're still your parents. There are bonds that transcend disagreements." "Disagreements?" I repeat, feeling heat rise in my neck. "Is that what we're calling deliberate cruelty now?" "Think about what people at church will say," Mother whispers. She glances around the lobby as if congregation members might materialize beside the potted ferns. Families shouldn't air their difficulties in public. The Thornton girl just went through something similar with her parents. Everyone's talking. I straighten my spine. I feel a strange lightness spread through my chest. "I've been promoted to Creative Strategy Director, Pastor. Did they mention that when they asked you to come? Or that my team just landed the Richardson account?" The pastor blinks, clearly thrown off script. "That's wonderful news, Elise. Congratulations." I reach into my leather portfolio. I remove 2 envelopes, placing them side by side on the reception desk. "This is the invitation to Nolan's wedding I received. And this is the real one Aunt Maxine showed me afterward." Pastor Williams peers at them. Confusion creases his forehead as he notes the different dates. "They sent me the wrong date on purpose so I wouldn't attend my own brother's wedding." My voice remains steady. It's a revelation in itself. This wasn't a misunderstanding or an oversight. It was deliberate exclusion. Sometimes families make difficult choices to maintain peace. Pastor Williams begins, but I cut him off. "I've spent my life forgiving, Pastor. I've turned the other cheek so many times I've been spinning in circles. Now I'm spending it living." I lock eyes with him directly. Did they tell you about the lake cottage? How I've been making the payments for 8 years while they pretended it was still theirs? Or how they've needed financial assistance every time Nolan starts a new business venture? Or perhaps they mentioned how they forgot to invite me to Thanksgiving dinner 3 years running, but they remembered to call when they needed their roof replaced. The pastor's expression shifts. The certainty in his eyes wavers as he glances between my parents. Elise, after all we've sacrificed for you, Mother interjects. Tears gather at the corners of her eyes. I turn to face her fully. I stand taller than I ever have in their presence. Name one sacrifice you've made for me that wasn't actually for Nolan. The silence stretches between us, becoming their answer. I pick up a manila envelope from the reception desk. I hand it to my father. These are all the family photos I kept. The ones where you cropped me halfway out, or where I'm standing slightly apart. I've been holding on to them, thinking someday I'd feel like I belonged in those frames. Father takes it automatically. His fingers tremble slightly. I'm releasing myself from the obligation of being your daughter, I say. The words bring an unexpected rush of oxygen into my lungs. You're free from having to pretend I matter to you. You can't just stop being family, Mother says. Her voice rises. After all we've sacrificed for you. You already said that. I hold her gaze, still waiting for an example. Stan steps forward from his security desk. His presence is a quiet reminder that this confrontation has an audience. Everything all right here, Miss Hartman? Yes, Stan. My visitors were just leaving. This isn't over, Elise, Father says, clutching the envelope of photos. But his voice no longer holds its former authority. I look at him. This man who ruled this family as absolute authority for decades. Do you really think this isn't over, Dad? My voice is quiet, but carries steel-like strength. I looked into your company's financial situation. When the cottage rental income stops, how will you make next month's payments? Father's face turns pale. That's. Jenna told me you have other unresolved debts too. The co-signed guarantees for Nolan's business failures. Remember those? Father's shoulders drop completely. It's the moment when the family patriarch finally bends the knee before his daughter. Actually, it is over. I turn toward the elevator banks. Stan will show you out. I don't look back as the elevator doors close behind me. They cut off the sound of my mother's protests. The sensation of lightness continues spreading through my chest. It replaces the familiar weight I've carried for decades. 2 weeks later, the news reaches me through Aunt Maxine. Nolan has lost his job. His marriage is already showing cracks under financial pressure. But that wasn't all. The next day, I get an urgent call from my boss. Elise, we received an accusation from your family. They claim you've been embezzling company funds for personal use. I take a deep breath. You're welcome to investigate. All my holding company records are completely legal. They have my accountant's approval. Of course I believe that. But we still need to investigate. After hanging up, I contact Jenna. I expected this. Jenna's voice is calm. It's typical behavior for cornered people. Fortunately, your records are perfect. We can consider further legal action for harassment through false accusations. I feel nothing but distant pity. Like observing strangers through a rain-streaked window. The first letter arrives at my office the following Tuesday. The envelope bears my father's distinctive handwriting. Precise capitals with flourished edges. I place it on my desk beside my coffee. Steam rises between us while I study it. My finger traces the edge of the seal, not yet breaking it. Inside might be more manipulation, more guilt, more demands disguised as family obligation, or perhaps something else entirely. I haven't decided whether to open it yet. That choice, I realize, is the most valuable thing I've gained. 1 year later, morning sun streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my lake house office. It casts golden patterns across the hardwood floor. My photographs line the walls. These are landscapes I captured during weekend trips when I stopped waiting for invitations that never came. Among them, my marketing award that mother once handled carelessly is now displayed in a beautiful frame I chose myself. No family portraits here. Just moments that belong solely to me. My phone rings. For the first time in years, my shoulders don't tense at the sound. Elise Hartman, I answer, tucking the phone between my ear and shoulder as I arrange presentation notes. It's a potential client interested in my boutique marketing approach. As I explain my philosophy about authentic brand storytelling, I notice the wall calendar behind my desk. Where family obligations once dominated, birthdays I celebrated alone, holidays where I arrived bearing gifts and left bearing wounds. Now, personal milestones stretch across the months. Half marathon in August. Photography workshop in September. A week in Montana just because I've always wanted to see big sky country. When the call ends, I lean back in my chair and breathe. The cottage that once symbolized my family's hold over me has become my sanctuary. The mail arrives with its usual shuffle through the brass slot. Among the business correspondence sits a thick cream envelope. My name is written in flowing calligraphy. My heart stutters momentarily before steadying. Another wedding invitation. My cousin Rachel this time. I run my finger along the embossed edge. I remember how a similar envelope once carried such bitter disappointment. The date looks correct. The RSVP card includes a handwritten note. It wouldn't be the same without you, Elise. Please come. For a moment, I consider what's expected. What the old Elise would have done. Drop everything. Find the perfect gift. Prepare answers to intrusive questions about my single status and childless life. Instead, I check my calendar. The wedding falls during my photography retreat in Maine. I select a response card from my desk drawer. I write a genuine note explaining my absence and wishing them joy. I'll send a thoughtfully selected gift. Not to earn approval, but because giving brings me pleasure when it's freely chosen. That evening, Aunt Maxine arrives first for our dinner. She brings her famous apple crumble. Thomas appears with a bottle of wine he's been saving for a special occasion. Jenna rushes in last, apologizing for court running late. Her laugh fills my kitchen. One year, Thomas says, raising his glass once we're seated around my dining table. 1 year of boundaries that would make a fortress envious. To finding family and friendship, Aunt Maxine adds. Her eyes crinkle at the corners. And strength in starting over. We clink glasses as laughter bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me. It's rusty, but genuine. Later, after they've gone, I sit at my desk. I open my father's latest letter. Unlike his early correspondence filled with guilt and demands, this one acknowledges harm without seeking absolution. I failed you, he writes simply. You deserved better. I place the letter in a wooden box with the others. Not displayed proudly, nor destroyed in anger. Just acknowledged as part of a story I no longer need to rewrite. Beside me sits a brochure for a mentoring program. It helps young women navigate early career challenges. My travel itinerary for Portugal rests beneath it. It's a solo journey I've dreamed about since college. Both represent futures built on my terms. As I close the box of letters, I wonder if healing means reconciliation or simply peace with the past. Is family defined by blood or by those who treat your heart with care? Some bridges burn for a reason. Others can be rebuilt stronger than before. What would you choose? The comfort of what's familiar or the promise of what could be? Elise overcame her past and found the courage to step into a new life where she knows her own worth. We all have the right to choose our real family, one bound by love and respect, not just blood. Do you know someone amazing who stood up from an unfair situation and built a life on their own terms? If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this might give someone courage, please share this video. Thanks for watching, and remember, you are worth more than how others treat you.